Merry Christmas. Prime Minister James Marape has wished all Papua New Guineans, both within PNG and abroad, a very Merry Christmas and blessings for the new year. Amongst the list of people the Prime Minister thanked for standing with his government throughout 2020, pastors and laymen were on top of the list. Whilst this festive season will be celebrated with COVID-19 restrictions, it is the wish of the Prime Minister that all families in PNG celebrate Christmas in a safe way.
In observing Christmas this festive season, Prime Minister Marape has thanked everyone from pastors to public servants, the business community, international investors, and law enforcement agencies who took the front line in the fight against COVID-19.
19 came unannounced to us. When we play closing 2019 budget and 2019 budget preparations for 2020. Me play no looking was some COVID-19 by come up long country long 2020.
Reflecting on his second Christmas as Prime Minister, Marape says 2020 has been a tough but overcoming year for all sectors of development. In 2019, when government passed the 2020 national budget, Marape says his government didn't know the impacts COVID-19 would bring as we entered a new century.
COVID-19 come up long early 2020 and has been part of our lifestyle, part of our business, part of our work and work plans for the last 10 months or 11 months. You may walk coming up now long December now. COVID-19 I may start one to you may.
However, in the last 12 months, law enforcing agencies, international NGOs and bilateral support from other countries kept PNG afloat. And the Prime Minister is thankful for that support.
And as Christmas, he face him, you may sit down long together as family and me like place him on record. Big Lahamamastru and talk thank you along all people by me long Papua New Guinea.
But as government officers, business communities and those in the informal sector wind down the year, Prime Minister Marape says the true meaning of Christmas is the birth of Jesus Christ.
Today, as you may sit down along fireplace, or you may sit down along house, or you may stop along one up corner of country, now you may celebrate him Christmas. Me like ask him, old man Mary. Number one, no can forget him or some God he stop, now you may stop.
Theklagunga, National EMTV News.
Prime Minister James Marape says the PNG national flag will still be flying low as a sign of respect for the loss of former Prime Minister Semekere Marauta. A 5-day of mourning has been announced by the NEC for Papua New Guineans to remember Semekere, who many described as a renowned reformist. The NEC is now in discussion with Lady Roslyn, and details of a state funeral and burial will be released once finalized. Semekere, who passed away last Saturday, died from a long illness while receiving treatment in Australia. State Ministers Justin Chachenko and Soro Ewe will be in charge of the planned state funeral. Oro Governor Gary Jufa has appealed to the people of Oro to celebrate Christmas in its true spirit. The governor says Christmas must be spent with family and it is a time to reflect on their lives. Though it has been a challenging year for the country, they must be thankful for how far they've come. The provincial police commander also appealed to the people to celebrate peacefully and not to get into trouble.
During this time, it's important to spend time with your families, to ensure that you are safe, to reflect on the year, a very difficult year that we have had. 2020 was not an easy year for all of us. It brought about massive, significant challenges that we are still facing to date. And I think it's really a time of reflection. It's really a time to review what happened in the year and what we did and how we can improve so that going forward we can be better citizens of our province, better citizens of our country. We can treat one another with more respect and we can show the due love and care that this country truly deserves.
Please be responsible, celebrate with your family, in your hamlets, in your homes, and let's reflect the true meaning of Christmas. So I wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year.
And still in Oro, the Oro provincial government is working together with various government agencies to ensure businesses operating in the province comply with existing laws. In a week-long exercise conducted in the province, various compliance issues were identified. The operation also revealed that some laws are not fully implemented in the province.
The team comprises of immigration officers and officers from the Department of Transport and Road Traffic Authority. In a week-long operation in Oro Province, they visited business houses in Popondetta town and logging companies based in Tufi and other parts of the province. The operation aims to ensure businesses comply with existing laws.
When I say take back PNG, it is basically taking back our dignity, ensuring that we have greater control of our resources. It ensures that we have, greater visibility of companies, organizations, individuals that are operating in our country, so that they do so in respect to our laws, our culture, our people, our resources.
Various compliance issues were identified in this operation. Some heavy motor vehicles used by various companies and business houses are unregistered and found to be not roadworthy. They are also not complying with Heavy Vehicle Licensing Act, as it is not properly implemented in the province.
And they are doing it in a way that they are avoiding the proper processes of registration and insuring these vehicles and complying to the Heavy Vehicle Licensing Act. So, if this is the trend here, then we sure are going to lose a lot of revenue for this province.
Issues relating to immigrations were also identified. Some foreign workers from these companies are not complying with their visa conditions. These workers identified were sent to Port Moresby to face further charges and possible deportation.
We found out that everybody were compliant with the Migration Act, except for 3 that were found to be in breach of their visa conditions. They were supposed to be working for another company, but they were found there.
Apart from immigrations and vehicle checks, other issues were also flagged. This includes poor accommodation for workers, locals overworked and paid below the minimal wage of 3 kina 50 per hour.
Locals were paid way below the 350 kina per hour minimum wage. For instance, a security officer paid 1 kina 70 something per hour, which it's labor exploitation at its best.
The operation was funded by the Oro provincial government, and there are plans for more of such operations next year.
And we intend to take action against this. So the effort was undertaken at the cost of the provincial government, and we intend to continue with these efforts. We've seen an improvement in the level of compliance, but there's still a lot of work to be done.
Rayon Lakingu National, EMTV News.
The police Christmas operations in Manus will continue until the 5th of January 2021. This year, the provincial government is supporting the Christmas and New Year operation with 30,000 kina funding. This operation, which kicked off last week, includes sea surveillances on illegal drugs and firearms, execution of bench warrants, road checks and footbeat patrols. Manus Police Commander Chief Inspector David Yapu says police officers will work closely with LLG presidents and ward councillors to ensure a safe and peaceful Christmas. And you're watching the National EMTV News. We'll have more of the day's stories after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back to the news. Not Fly MP James Donald was charged with 1 count of attempt to pervert the course of justice by police in Port Moresby this week. The charge is in relation to Donald's initial charge of posting defamatory publications against Pastor Stephen Bagari and lawyer Greg Shepherd in relation to issues of Oak Teddy Mine. The 38-year-old MP from Gasuke village in Kiunga Northfly district of Western Province is accused of copying affidavits from witnesses in a court proceeding against OTML, which was dismissed by the National Court. It is further alleged that the MP used these affidavits in a letter of complaint to the fraud squad, accusing Pastor Begari of fraudulent activities. For the charge of public defamation, the MP was committed to stand trial at the National Court, while for the charge of perverting the course of justice, he was arrested on Tuesday after a police interview with fraud squad. A much talked about concern has always been public sector reforms and how public servants can effectively serve in their respective roles. The Marape Basil government is now taking serious steps in re-looking at the public service reform policies and the changes that needs to be done. The Marape Basil government has announced openly and continues to emphasize the need for public sector reforms. It is not the first time a government has announced that, but this government believes it will get the job done.
We want to reform public service to a right-sized and efficient, effective public servant. I know it's been talked about much in the past, but just because in the past it hasn't been achieved doesn't mean we will be complacent about it going into the future.
What is public sector reforms? Public sector reforms consist of deliberate changes to the structures and processes of public sector organizations with the objective of getting them to run better. In 2003, a study by Dr. Lawrence Sauce, the Deputy Executive Dean of School of Business and Public Administration at UPNG, reveals that PNG has said so much and done little. Dr. Lawrence had pointed out that in close to 10 years of sporadic reforms, provincial bureaucracies have been the ones that have been most neglected. There has been a lack of concrete action to initiate much-needed reform in some 20 provincial departments by the central agencies. 17 years later, this is still a concern, as alluded by Prime Minister James Marape.
Something we want to achieve is a right-sized public servant, serving better, serving well, and a lot more public servant in our rural and our provincial areas than a heavy-headed public service in Waigani, consistent with some of the reforms that we've started, including abolishing the Office of Chief Secretary and having a flatter structure based in Waigani, but transferring all public servants to our service areas, that is the provinces and districts.
In September this year, the government highlighted concerns of the funding allocations to the public service sector annually, with no visible results to show, therefore tasked the Special Parliamentary Committee on Public Sector Reform and Service Delivery to look into the performance of the public sector. The Marape Basil government's appointment of Joe Sungi this month as the new minister responsible for public service is to work closely with Gary Jufa, who is the chairman of the Parliamentary Committee on Public Sector Reforms and Service Delivery, to ensure the much talked about reforms take place. Jufa earlier this year said the government is concerned that this sector consumes 1/3 of the annual national budget, but their performance over the years have been poor.
And there is phenomenal work that will be undertaken by the Public Sector Reform Commission under the stewardship of the Prime Minister and the NEC and Parliament indeed, where we will be reforming the public sector space, looking at the public service, the state-owned enterprises, and the disciplinary forces and national security apparatus.
The Asian Development Bank's Country Partnership Strategy 2016 to 2020 points out that strengthening public sector management or PSM systems and practices in PNG will improve the government's ability effectively and efficiently utilize public finances for service delivery and infrastructure provision. It says strengthened public service management is also needed to ensure that revenue from the LNG exports and other mining and petroleum projects efficiently and equitably utilized. The Marape Basil government are confident they will be the government that makes these changes in the public sector. Part of the reason why students with good marks have been dropped has been attributed to poor guidance back in secondary schools. Chancellor of the University of Natural Resources and Environment, Professor Kenneth Sumbuk, is challenging guidance teachers to provide enough information for students to make better choices. His comments come following the launch of online selection and the disappointments that may come with it.
The online selection saved the state 8.3 million kina. However, higher learning institutions say they keep facing the same problems they encountered with the manual selection system. And the Chancellor of the University of Natural Resources and Environment, Professor Kenneth Sumbuk, says one of the problems is that students keep making wrong choices.
It is really students not understanding the choices and the combination of the course they're taking in the secondary schools. So the challenge is to educate our grade 12s on the actual combinations that are available for them. Like, for example, a student that is doing Maths A and Maths B. The A in Maths B is not the same as A in Maths A. So these are the type of things that parents, when they look at the grades, they then, say, oh, my child has got straight A's. But those A's that they got in Maths A and Maths B are not the same.
And Professor Sumbuk says secondary schools and especially guidance teachers in secondary schools need to know the different criteria of selection and the requirements of higher learning institutions and impart that knowledge to students.
That is the thing that we need to educate both parents and most importantly the secondary schools and especially the guidance teachers. The guidance teachers must take ownership on understanding the subject combinations and the selecting criteria that the universities and higher education institutions are using. So we are still continuing to face the challenges that we face using the manual system, at the same time using the electronic system that we now have. And as the Secretary explained, so long as the students do not understand or do not listen to the instructions that are given through the online selection, we will continue to face these challenges.
With selections now made and some 3,600 spaces still available in different institutions around the country, Professor Sumbuk says the different programs offered at the different institutions, especially the universities, set their own quotas, and as a former academic of UPNG, he says it is tough to get a space at Unitec and UPNG compared to the university he now heads.
UPNG and Unitec, where the competition is quite tough in getting in there. So long, like a student could get straight, B's and a couple of A's, for example, if they want to go into law. But the quota is filled with all straight A's already. And parents will continue to complain, yes, that my child missed out, even though the child got straight, like B's and a couple of A's. They meet the selection requirement of the university, but the quota is already filled by straight A's. So that's something the parents will have to accept and start looking at other options that are available. And these are the things that the system is going to continue to evolve.
Sumbuk says the online selection system helped the University of Natural Resources and Environment in enrolling students with higher GPAs, unlike in the past.
Because what is happening now is we are getting students with better GPAs filling our quota. Unlike before, many students don't want to do agriculture, don't want to do fisheries, they want to go to other, mostly white-collar jobs. It actually help our university in terms of filling the quota, but with a better GPA average. So online selection actually helped. UNR, courses like at UNR. At UPNG, the competition will be still very, very high.
He says challenges will continue to exist every year, and it is now up to schools to guide students well when the time comes for registering their choices online, formerly the process of filling in school leavers form. Ruth Rungula, National EMTV News.
In 2021, when Tuspab Secondary School in Medang resumes classes, its problem of overcrowding will continue to persist. TUSBAB is the only secondary school in Medang, and its principal has supported a call by the Catholic Archdiocese to build 2 more schools that will take in the large number of grade 8s who graduate every year.
TUSBAB Secondary School is closed for the holidays, but it's the only one in Medang that takes in as many grade 8 students as it can. In fact, it takes in more than it can handle. An average class size is between 80 and 100 students, and the school principal admits it's difficult. Teachers are under pressure, and the quality of education has dropped significantly over 10 years.
Our classes plus aguanta 70, 80 per class. One time, and by looking 100, more long 100 per class, and all this kind of times. So and because long out some sorry long all beginning, because time only go out long society, only come up all problems to long society.
When school resumes in 2021, the problems will continue. The TUSBAB principal says he supports the idea of a new school in Medang town, an idea also proposed by the Catholic Archdiocese of Medang and supported by senior members of the Medang community.
We have to create space to accommodate those students who have been graduating already those times. And those students we have pushed out because of insufficient grade 9 spaces. They are now engaged in all kinds of activities.
Mipla, like all beginning, you go outside, roam street, nothing, not this black and so life in Salo town and me hardly click.
The church has begun fundraising. They hope to have a transition arrangement in place before approvals are given for an actual school. The statistics are frightening. Up to 8,000 students leave grade 8 every year. Only 2,900 can be accommodated in high schools in the province, and up to 6,000 students are pushed out of the education system every year. Scott Wade, National EMTV News, Leh.
A drunken brawl has resulted in the beheading of a man in Lumi, West Sepik Province. This incident happened yesterday. West Sepik Provincial Police Commander, Chief Inspector Moses Ibsagi, said the deceased was drinking homebrew with 3 men since Wednesday night. The friendly get-together turned nasty on Thursday morning when an argument broke out. It is alleged one of the 3 took out a bush knife and beheaded the victim. The deceased is a 25-year-old man from Million Village, East Wape, LLG. The 3 suspects are currently on the run. You're watching the National EMTV News. More stories after the break. Welcome back to the news. A fitting Christmas present for loyal customers of SB Brewery. The company's Win Christmas Hampers promo ended yesterday with the official draw and announcement of the 8 lucky winners of the Christmas hampers worth a total of 5,000 kina. The promotion is one of 2 for the company this season.
It was as easy as 1, 2, and 3. All they needed to do was buy any SB Lager, SB Export or New Guinea Ice carton at Tango Supermarket here in Tokarara NCD to enter the draw. SB Brewery's commercial manager, Moses Williams, says the promotion was intended for their loyal customers who stood by their side through a difficult year.
So we really appreciate our loyal shoppers, we really appreciate our loyal consumers, and we really appreciate our customers. And we want to say to everyone, make sure to enjoy the Christmas, have a Merry Christmas, and of course, enjoy responsibly.
From the 8 lucky shoppers, 5 walked away with the 500 kina Empa, 2 won the 750 kina Empa, and 1 won the 1,000 kina Empa. The Empas contain food and beverages for mom, dad, and even the kids. SB Brewery's second Christmas promotion, the Trolley Dash promotion, is running at the moment. 4 lucky shoppers of RH Gardens and RH Vision City will win the chance to stock up on their shelves with food and household items this festive season. Purchase any of SB Lager products cartons to go into the draw. Winners will be announced next week. Yana Zoriri, National EMTV News.
Police in the nation's capital and central province were in full swing last night as part of the city's 2020 festive operations. The operations are part of keeping residents safe while celebrating Christmas. An EMTV crew joined a convoy of media personnel escorted by police to tour designated operations and checkpoints around the city. Annette Cora reports.
The city roads during Christmas Eve yesterday had even more cars lining up, unlike the usual traffic crowd. But it goes without saying that much of this was attributed to members of the Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary out in full swing to do road and vehicle checks and make sure there was no misdemeanors. EMTV joined a group of personnel from respective local media organizations and, escorted by police, were taken to designated checkpoints in the city to observe how operations and checks were being conducted. Despite some vehicles and taxi cabs being pulled over for obvious reasons, all the checkpoints indicated a sense of compliance from motorists and very few offenders on the roads. EMTV managed to catch up with the NTD Metropolitan Superintendent at one of the checkpoints, and seeing that operations were running efficiently, the aura of general compliance from city residents was acknowledged.
The most important part of doing the roadblock is to give the confidence to the residents that police is out and about to ensure they have a peace and security during the Christmas and leading to New Year.
Impressed with the festive operations, the Metsup also sounded a word of precaution for residents to behave and celebrate in the safety of their homes, adding that if the law caught up with anyone, they will be dealt with accordingly under the rule of law.
We have a lot of the indication from a lot of motorists that they're happy to see police there, and it's making the road safer. Most importantly, and I'd like to warn our motorists to not drink and drive, because you'll be caught. And if you are caught, there's no court until next year. You could be spending your time in a cell until, 7-10 days from now.
Motorists are urged to comply and have necessary documents on hand when coming across a checkpoint. Operations in NCD and Central will be ongoing and will continue on into the New Year festivities. Annette Cora, National EMTV News.
The Sri Lanka PNG Friendship Foundation has continued its Christmas donation drive, this time to the Cheshire Disability Services here in Port Moresby. Foundation President Pandit Bandara says the gesture is an extension of the relationship with the people. The donation include food items, detergents and other consumables.
Not only that, this donation is not only the last one, but if you need any help in future, please contact us. We are ready to help you. To this organization, because this is a charity organization, we know the purpose. And in addition to that, in fact, we made a request to our members, Sri Lankan community. This is what we are going to do in addition to the Christmas celebrations, donations. They all supported us. That's why you can see the monetary value of this donation is, this donation in total cash and kind is 10,000 kg.
Pope Francis celebrated a low-key Christmas Eve due to the coronavirus pandemic. He said people should feel obliged to help the needy because Jesus himself was born a poor outcast.
Bells rang earlier than usual at St. Peter's Basilica, Italy's nighttime curfew forcing the midnight service to be held early. Pope Francis made his speech to a socially distant group of some 100 participants instead of the tens of thousands in previous years. The public cannot attend any papal events over the holiday season. Instead, they'll be live streamed and broadcast on TV.
Truka Sports is next. Here's Kilawani with the details.
Yes, Charmaine, women's soccer on Christmas Day and Hunters continue training in the festive season. Join me after the break.
True Kai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. The Port Moresby Soccer Association checked out on the final pool rounds of the women's divisions today. 6 teams battled for the placings in the finals.
Port Moresby Soccer Association kicked off their women's final pool rounds earlier this afternoon.
They're playing the final pool games in the women, so after this they go into the quarterfinals.
The lineup saw Murat FC take on University FC in the opening game. The second game between Pom City FC and Academy FC, PMSA's WNSL teams couldn't get past each other, scoring 1 each at full time. While the third game saw FC Genesis take on Munkers 2, FC Genesis smashing the Munkers 4-2. With only one pool for the women, the first will play the fourth and the third will play the second. Losers play off for the third and fourth place, while the winners will battle for the 2020 PMSA Tournament Championship. Meantime, the men's quarterfinals has been kicked off as this story went to air. The first quarterfinals sees Munkers 2 and Leylam FC.
Loser is kicked out and winner proceeds to the semi-finals. So.
As the SP-PNG Hunters train-on squad heads into their break over the festive season, Coach Matthew Church stated that the players, while having time to enjoy themselves, must keep in mind the gains made during training and to be responsible for their health and welfare.
With the SP-PNG Hunters going into the break over the festive season, Coach Matthew Church has provided guidelines and training programs for the players to follow. This will allow the players time to recover, but also maintain a baseline level of fitness built up over the preseason training. Coach Church stated that players should enjoy themselves, spending time with friends and family, but also remain mindful that the grueling season lies ahead.
Definitely, I guess that weighs into the fact that, yeah, we want you to enjoy yourself, but everything in moderation, alcohol and food. So, yeah, we want to make sure that we still have a job to do, and we don't want to use the relocation next year as an excuse to fall back on. So I'm going to challenge them on coming back fit and healthy, and that's why we test them today, and we test them when they come back in, because what you do in the dark gets shown up in the light. So when we come back and the light's on, we'll know exactly who's put the effort in. We've given them all the programs, so that's athletically and I guess physically in the gym. So knowing that not all players around the country have access to a gym, so we've given them an option of if they can find a gym, that what they can do, and yeah, we've basically just let them know that when we get back we'll have a lot more turns and things like that. So the program is focused around that, so that when they do come back we're avoiding injuries by giving them the program that we want them to be doing.
Players will return on Sunday, January 3rd, 2021. Coach Church will have discussions with those players who were omitted before the final 30-man squad is announced early in the new year.
It's not for public consumption at the moment. I've got to have those discussions with individuals, so I'll do that privately, and then we'll announce that in the new year when we come back. It's just been a bit hectic having to name it before Christmas, and because of the relocation and the processes that we have to go through with visas and the exemption. So yeah, so I know that, and yeah, but the country won't know that until we get back.
Huxley Lovai, Trukai Sports.
We'll go for a break. More stories when we come back. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back. Edwin Ipape, one of the heroes of the PNG Kumul's stunning 28-10 victory over the Great Britain Lions in 2019, has put himself in top contention for inclusion into the SP PNG Hunters Final 30 squad for the 2021 season.
Dynamic utility Edwin Ipape, who burst onto the international scene in 2019, has his eye on a spot in the final squad for the SP PNG Hunters 2021 season. Playing with the Lace Necks Tigers in the Digital Cup, Ipape caught the attention of Winner Manley in the Queensland Cup, playing for the club in the 2019 season.
I've made the Kumul's before I played for the Hunters, so with that experience, you know, it's always good to come back and implement what I've learned from some higher levels, and that to the younger ones who are trying to make Kumul's, and that. So yeah, just working together with the boys here. So. Yeah.
Back in the country, after a stint with NRL team Manly Sea Eagles was cut short due to injuries and COVID-19 restrictions. Ipape is determined to excel once again on the field for club and country, proving that he has what it takes to play at the highest level.
When I went down there, the lifestyle was a bit different, so I had to cope with the lifestyle there, and then obviously with the training, the intensity level there was very high, and the speed of the game. So, and then coming back to this, Hunters and Q Cup, and that it's a bit different, but with the new coach coming on board, there's a lot of similarities there from what I've learned down there, and coming back here there's a lot of similarities, so I think we're on the right track to the coming campaign for 2021. From training, we've been talking to the boys, especially the younger ones, to listen to instructions when doing drills or when doing training. Instructions, follow instructions, and just do the right thing, and try not to overplay or overdo some things. Just do the right thing, and every time just building on from one session to another, and then we'll learn from there and build on from there.
Huxley Lovai, Chukai Sports.
Christmas Day like no other for two leading New Zealand sports people. Tour de France cyclist and a former All Blacks star. They're in isolation in Auckland, spending the festive day locked away.
Festive in here at the moment. We've got fairy lights, we've got Christmas trees.
George Bennett has a unique perspective on spending Christmas Day locked in a hotel room.
So that's the 20-metre circuit.
You've seen COVID explode in Spain, Italy, France, all over Europe. So what's your message, George, to Kiwis watching this on Christmas Day?
Just be very, very thankful for the situation we're in.
After the Tour de France and winding down after a COVID-riddled season, Bennett wasn't coming home. However, he and partner Caitlin managed to get isolation vouchers, and it was a no-brainer.
The fact that I'm stepping out into real life in a few days, without people wearing masks, without curfews, without anything like that, it just seems surreal, really.
A Christmas grotto has been set up in Bennett's Auckland hotel room. The bathroom has become a training venue.
Right, that's your erg. So it's set up with a big industrial fan.
He's out in 4 days, New Year's Eve and the Marlborough Sounds. Bennett will then ride in a new gravel and tar one-day race in Manawatu next month, then the Nationals, and then the Olympics, putting country ahead of another Tour de France ride.
It does mean a lot to wear the fern.
Former All Black Ryan Crotty knows all about that. He's a few blocks away from Bennett in downtown Auckland.
I know, you got
home from his pro rugby club in Japan for the birth of his first child in Christchurch in 3 weeks.
20 more rugby games, I don't know how many more kids there'll be, so very lucky and very fortunate and very grateful that they were okay with me coming home.
I get some sleep in, mate, while you can.
Mate, that is probably the most common piece of advice everyone's been giving me, just bank as much sleep.
In between naps, Crotty's on the bike as well. A cycle dropped off by old Canterbury mate Dan Carter.
I can't believe he didn't drop you any, snacks, food, anything from the chemist warehouse so you can get you cheap.
We were in the flow, then the medics came knocking and calling.
Health check. I'm back in 1 sec. Sorry.
A COVID test up the nose on Christmas Day. Merry Christmas.
How good.
Far from a usual Christmas, but no complaints from two leading sportsmen, just happy to be home.
And that story wraps up Trukai Sports. Charmaine will be back with the weather report. Merry Christmas.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by MoniPlus, with you always.
Weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow. In the southern region, Port Moresby partly cloudy with chances of light showers. Darrow mostly cloudy with rain drizzles. Popondetsa partly cloudy with light rain drizzles tonight, then fine morning. Kerma partly cloudy with morning showers. Alotau partly cloudy with a few showers. In the Momasa region, Lae partly cloudy tonight with morning rain showers. Medang partly cloudy tonight and tomorrow. Wewak partly cloudy with light thundery showers tonight and tomorrow. And Vanimo mostly cloudy with occasional thundery rain showers. In the New Guinea Islands, Lorengau fine partly cloudy. Kavieng fine partly cloudy tonight and tomorrow apart from a shower too. Kokopo and Rabaul partly cloudy with light thundery showers tonight, then fine morning. Kimbe mostly cloudy tonight and tomorrow. Buka a few showers and thundery tonight, then fine tomorrow. And in the Highlands region, Mount Hagen mostly cloudy with rain showers tonight, then morning fog. Gorka Kundiawa light rain drizzles tonight and then morning fog. Mendi and Wabeg rain drizzles tonight, then morning fog.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by MoneyPlus, with you always.
And that has been National MTV News this Christmas night. Stay safe from all of us here at MTV News. Pleasant viewing. Good night.